Hello, everybody. It is May 8th, 2025. Welcome to Santa's Magical Fellowship Group. I am beyond excited about tonight. I have one of the most amazing folks joining us this evening. This is a Santa I want to be when I grow up. A mentor of mine, a good friend of mine, someone I'm proud to call a brother in red. I have Mr. Jeff McMullen joining us today, International Santa Claus Hall of Fame member, class of 2023.
Great, yeah.
It's been 2 years already. Head of Kringle University, all around, absolutely amazing man. Jeff, welcome. I am so glad you're here today. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, Santa Mel, thank you. And first, kudos. Kudos for all the hard work that you do for our community. And it's coming back to you. Over 1,900 members. How cool is that? And that speaks right to the heart of what you do. So, Mel, keep up the great work. It's just a blessing to have you in our community and to be able to follow along with you. So, I'm thrilled to be here.
We're thrilled to have you. Thank you for your kind words. It's saying that, we say a lot, and, any of the Michigan Santas and everyone will get it. We are better together. And it is because of all the collective forces we have in this group that we have such an amazing, amazing group. Everybody brings something to the table, whether you're a new Santa or been a Santa for 60 years. It is just amazing to see everyone from all walks of life. So I'm definitely excited, and I am truly blessed. What started off with 4 people in 2021 is now nearing 2. And so I will take it. And it's because of the folks here that we just have this amazing.
Well, thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much. And well, does everyone here know Jeff McMullen? Jeff is amazing. I do this little school with a good friend of mine named Spangle called School of Santas. And last year, we were blessed to have Jeff there as our keynote instructor. What an amazing, amazing course. Entertaining, Jeff's stories, Jeff's just the way Jeff carries himself. It was a wonderful course. And if you've never gone to Kringle University or hung out in Jeff's presence, do it. It is amazing. And you're joining us from Appleton, Wisconsin, correct?
Yes. If you're not familiar with Wisconsin, I am about 20 miles to the southwest of Green Bay, 100 miles straight north of Milwaukee. That's where we have a home here, and I'm not here a lot, but we have a home here. And then I also have a cabin up in northern Wisconsin where now we're just starting to be able to get up to because the snow has finally melted off. So
that's good.
Yeah.
It's gotta be beautiful up there. Wisconsin's just a beautiful state too. So and go Pack. So even though I'm an Eagles fan, but I do like the Packers. But well, Jeff,
you kind of got to be a Packer fan here in Wisconsin. It's it's beyond a sport. It's really a cult.
It's actually a whole culture, when Spangle's a part owner of the Green Bay Packers, and he's a big Packers fan, and that's all I hear during football season. So I turn into a Packers fan. It's a great team, great city, and you guys really float football there, almost like Philadelphia. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, well, Jeff, I have a couple of questions, my friend.
Yes.
I want to get to the heart of who Jeff is. And folks, please feel free to jump in and ask questions. We'll take some more questions and answers towards the end. But I really want to know who Jeff McMullen is. How'd you, first of all, get your start in entertainment? And then how'd you get your start in
figure out who Jeff McMullen is? It's a great question, and it's a valid question. And not to give you a short answer to that, but it's all I've ever done. I've never had a conventional style job, so to speak, to support my family or myself. It's always been through the entertainment business. Ever since I was 4 or 5 years old, I knew what I wanted to do, and that was to make people happy. And at that age, as I looked around at this world that we explore, the most prominent person or character was a circus clown that continuously made people happy. And so that's what I decided at about 4 or 5 years old, what I wanted to do. And as I grew up through my early adolescence and early teens, I came to realize that the ultimate circus clown was to be a clown for Ringling Brothers. So that's where I set my goal. And I started to do a lot of research and a lot of studying. Every day I would work on my magic. I would work on my character. I would work on my movement. Um, Makeup, all the ancillary things. Because really, if you stop and think about it, a clown is perhaps the most multifaceted performer in the variety arts. You don't think about after you watch a tuba player do a wonderful ensemble or a group of tubas or polka band, you don't walk up to them and say, "That was great, but can you do a magic trick?" Well, that was great, but can you walk on stilts? Oh, that was great, but can you? But you don't hesitate, or the audience doesn't hesitate to come up and ask a clown to do any of those things. So I really needed to become proficient in as many of those sorts of skills as I could. So I worked diligently every day. And when I graduated from high school, here from in Appleton, Wisconsin, applied to Ringling Brothers Barnum Bailey Clown College, which at that time was located down in Venice, Florida. And I went in really sort of blindly. I didn't realize the popularity of Clown College, but the year I applied, there was over 6,000 applicants, and they chose 63 of us to attend. I was the only one from Wisconsin that particular year, and one of two from throughout the world to get in without an audition. Now I thought, oh boy, I'm going to go down and teach Ringling, how to clown. I'm one of two to get in without an audition. No, no, there was a cancellation, and I didn't have time to audition. That's why I got in without the audition. But um, it was a great experience, and I graduated from Clown College and was offered a contract with the greatest show on earth. And I was 20 years old and living my dream. So I toured with the show for a year, and then I left the show because I realized that wasn't where, even though that was my life goal, um, there wasn't enough connectivity to the audience for me personally. If you can imagine, Madison Square Garden at that time, I think held 94,000 people. And being in the center ring opening night, that's awesome. It doesn't get better than that, at least for a circus clown. But I didn't have the one-on-one or the small group interaction. It was always to thousands and thousands of people. Now, those skills certainly helped me develop who I became as a performer. So I left the show, came back to Wisconsin to finish school, and got my associate arts degree and then my bachelor degree in television film production because I really wanted to kind of move more towards comedy and movies as an actor, and I wanted to know what was going on the back side of the camera so I could be better on the front side. Well, the day I graduated from college, I was offered a contract with McDonald's to move down to Arizona and play the character of Ronald McDonald for them. You know, and that didn't just happen. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to partner up with a facility or an organization that could continue to allow me to grow like Ringling did. I was denied even an audition with McDonald's, even with my Ringling credentials and all the other things that I had done up to that point. Again, I was only 23, so there wasn't a lot there, um, but they said I was too short. And this was before internet. This is back in the early 80s. So I wrote a letter to Oak Brook, Illinois, to the corporate headquarters every single day for over a year, every day, including Sundays, saying, all I'm asking for is a chance. So finally, I think I just pestered them enough to where they said, well, let's give this guy a try. So they flew me down to Arizona, and I spent the next 5 years playing Ronald. And remember standing on stage, Mel, one day. And again, I had a huge marketing budget and all the props and staging that an independent artist could hope for, and the support. I had a great co-op that of owner operators that believed in me, and I believed in them. The reason the relationship worked is I didn't tell them how to make French fries, and they didn't tell me how to clown. Right? So I never explored areas that I wasn't qualified to comment in. I stayed in my circle and just kept developing those skills, and they kept feeding that. But after 5 years, I was standing on the stage one day, and I go, is it Jeff generating this laughter? Or is it the billions of dollars of marketing and advertising that's generating it? So I kind of had a little personality conflict, a little head game going on. And we were recognized as one of the top markets in the country. We started at the bottom. We had the worst market in the country. In 5 years, Deb and I built it into one of the top. And Deb rolled over one day and said, "What's wrong?" I said, and I shared with her what I just shared with you. And she said, "Well, then it's time to leave, because when you're at the top, there's nowhere to go but down." In this relationship that I had with McDonald's. So we left. We came back to Wisconsin. I finished my schooling. I got my master's degree in theater and speech. And the day after I graduated with my master's, I was offered a contract with Ringling once again to go over to Japan and set up a performing arts school. So my projects just kept getting larger and larger in scale. And with that, of course, comes more responsibilities, both on a personal level as well as being a leader in that community. And I spent a year in Japan with Ringling setting up the Performing Arts School. And then that would have been in 88, 89. I came back here. I was invited to the White House to do a show for the president on the South Lawn of the White House. And following that session, that show, that's really when my solo career took off as an entertainer, as a family-based entertainer. So I went out and doing my vaudeville show. That was my master's degree thesis. I did a reenactment of a 1920 medicine show.
It's awesome.
It did illusions and escapes and sold snake oil, and so I did this variety show, and it's taken me all over the world. So it's been very, very blessed. So that's kind of my performing background, or who Jeff is.
That is amazing who Jeff is. Certainly a lot of wonderful, wonderful opportunities. Big corporations, my friend, big corporations, big names out there, to match your big heart. Perfect, perfect fit. What was one of your most favorite moments as Ronald McDonald?
I'm sorry, Mel, you leaped out on me there for a moment.
What was one of your favorite moments as Ronald McDonald?
Ooh, boy, there were so many. I think one of the ones was we opened the Ronald McDonald House in Phoenix during my tenure with them. And to be part of that planning process of opening a home that families could come to while their children are at the hospital. And then Deb and I would go and spend weekends as weekend managers. And Ronald would, of course, make frequent appearances. So I think the most special times with them was any time that I could spend time in the Ronald house with those families, with the parents, and just, very Santa-like, just sitting down and just letting them talk and being a good listener.
Ronald McDonald House are absolutely amazing. I know multiple people that it's been a godsend for while they're waiting for their children to go through certain or anything. They're just a great organization, and to have someone that I know to be part of that, it's always been near and dear to my heart. It's one of my charities that I like to work with. So that is fantastic, Jeff. Thank you. Now
And
we
then,
have.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, of course, all the other big things that go along with that, like the Fiesta Bowl parades and the throwing out the first pitch for the Padres and all that kind of fun stuff that Ronald gets to do.
And I don't. I know you all. Everyone else is realizing this too. But Jeff, your face lights up like a Christmas tree when you talk about this, and it is so
Well,
special here.
let me just kind of tie a bow on that section of my life. They denied me over a year because I was the little, or I was too small, and I was truly and still remain the smallest Ronald McDonald that they ever had. Uh,
That
so.
well, that's a great. It's great. Dynamite comes in all packages, my friend. So that's amazing. That is amazing. Now, tell me, Santa, what made you decide to put the suit on then? I know it was very Santa-like as Ronald McDonald, but what kind of pointed your needle towards being a Christmas performer as well?
Yeah, in over that 40 years, almost 50 years now of being a family-based entertainer, from time to time, every year, people would ask, hey Jeff, we got a suit, our Santa's sick, can you put it on and play Santa? Well, okay, sure, I can do that. So I'd put the suit on and go out and sit and listen and do a little magic or whatever it might be. But I was really Jeff in a Santa suit. I wasn't really didn't get the head and the heart and the soul of what Santa was all about. I was simply filling a role. And then about 15 years ago, 18, 15 years ago, I started thinking more and more about it. And when I realized that my body could no longer do what it used to do as a physical comedian. I mean, I got thrown downstairs, shot out of cannons, dropped off of high wires. You know, I knew I couldn't do that for the rest of my life, and that's where I really started to develop the the idea of offering Santa to my community. And so I took a full year to develop Santa Mac before I ever went out. Hours and hours of research and lore and learning the history and going to other Santa pages and looking and seeing what people are doing. And at that time, I had the unique ability that I no longer get. It was to go to different malls and watch Santa's work. Um, because we never get a chance to do that during season, and how valuable that was. And we had a wonderful Santa here at the Fox River Mall in Appleton, Santa Russ, from Montana. He was 28 years at the mall. He just passed away a few months ago. And I would bring him at the mall. I would do a big magic show and I would produce him on stage each year, and he kept saying, "Jeff, you need to get into this business. You need to get in." It's like, no, Russ, I never felt old enough or mature enough, and because in my head I always felt Santa needed to be this old person. No, nothing could have been further from the truth. But I didn't know better. That was my reality at the time, and so I didn't pursue it. And finally, Russ convinced me to get into to really looking at it not necessarily as a business opportunity, but as a business opportunity that I could do well into my 70s and 80s. And that's what attracted me, something that I could continue to change lives and touch lives well beyond, even though I physically couldn't do it the way I used to do it as a clown or as a family entertainer or as a vaudevillian.
That
It's
makes
just
a
been
lot.
incredible. And, let me put a nugget on that as well, a McNugget, if I may. Um, when I was clowning, I was really clowning for myself. I was clowning to produce income for my family. I was clowning to please myself, but I wasn't necessarily clowning to please my audience per se. That wasn't necessarily excuse me, my focus. I was headlining at an amusement park in southern Japan in the early 90s, doing my vaudeville show. And I was sitting at a little writing desk. It was Easter Sunday morning, and I grew up Catholic, but I didn't know the Lord. I'm going to give you a little testimony here, because it really does speak to who I am. And I sat down at this writing desk that I had written at every morning for months, and I was writing a letter to Debbie. And again, this was before internet. And I was saying, at some point, I hope I can have a relationship with the Lord like you do. And my knee jumped off the floor and hit the bottom of the writing desk. And I went down to rub my knee and I stubbed my fingers on a little tiny drawer that was underneath there. And inside of it was a New Testament left by the Gideons. And it, you don't, I'm not the sharpest crayon in the box. Um, but it didn't take much for me to realize that that was God's way of putting me in a location where I was the only person who spoke English, and there was no other English other than uh, the New Testament. So I spent a year getting to know the Lord, getting to know myself, and that turned my career around. I had always had the skill, but I didn't have the spirit in it. So I stopped clowning for myself and started clowning and entertaining for the Lord and giving the credit there. And that really helped me ease into the whole Santa thing later on as well.
That is a testimony for sure. Definitely a calling.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
definitely. I have goosebumps. I always love to hear testimonies like that, and I think you're put exactly where you need to be when you need to be there, and that's amazing. What you mentioned, there was not much English over there. You went over to start this performing arts school. How was that whole event in your life? How long were you over there again? And
Well, I was there 2 years. 1 year with Ringling, and I was in Tokyo. Okay. And then the second year I was there was at an amusement park in southern Japan, population of about 30,000 people. And they built this huge amusement park, kind of like the Field of Dreams, build it and they will come. Well, they did, and they kept coming and kept coming. And it's the second largest amusement park in Japan. So I was there for the opening. They built the family stage to my spec, so it was kind of cool to have be part of that creation of, from a technical standpoint, of everything that I needed. So it was cool. I think one of the funny stories that happened is they have what they refer to as Golden Week, and it's like 10 or 12 days. I forget the exact amount of just straight holidays, one right after another, and people are off of work. And so during Golden Week, which was towards the start of when the park opened, I would simply step out of the gate, right, out of my changing room into the park, and there was already a line, of 400 people long waiting to get their picture taken with me. And I go, oh man, they love me. Oh, they love me. Oh, they love me. This is wonderful. And then just shortly after that, I had a day off and I went into town and there was a KFC or a Big Boy, a Mark's Big Boy. And remember, they had those big fiberglass Big Boys out in front of the store. And there was about 75 to 100 people lined up to get their picture taken with that plastic Big Boy. And I went, oh, you're not so special after all, Mr. McMullen.
that is something to say. Yeah, you definitely are special, but I can imagine. I can see that. So that is fantastic. Man, to live life through your eyes, it's just amazing, amazing. Just I don't want to say tale, but I want to say just the story of your life is just it needs to be published. It's
Been blessed. I have been so blessed, and I've been blessed with Debbie now for 40. It'll be 41 years next month, and she is so forgiving and so understanding.
is amazing,
I've put that poor girl through so many adventures.
and it's adventures you can remember. That some you
Yes.
need to you can look back and laugh at. Some you like, oh no, but
Yeah,
it's awesome to have someone by your side that gets it. So that's fantastic. Um,
absolutely.
now we talked a little bit about being a clown and being Santa.
Mhm.
We talked a little bit about Appleton. I'd like to know a little bit about this little initiative you have called Kringle University.
Yeah.
I I'm a graduate of that class. It's
Yeah, you
amazing.
are.
What made you decide to train us folks?
Well, I've been training. Again, I've been very fortunate. I've been training elite family performers since 1984. Uh, And when I came into the Santa community, uh, I felt like there was a void. There was an opportunity for me to bring maybe a skill set that wasn't being demonstrated in the Santa community at that time, uh, whether it be performance based and writing shows and having um, that creative mindset, that continuous creative mindset that goes on. So I felt I could share some of those ideas and tools and things that I've used for training performers with to train Santas with, and really just to build a stronger community. So yeah, KU, we've got a session coming up August 9th, 8th, 9th, and 9th. What is it? 9th, 10th, and 11th here in Appleton coming up. We just finished up a virtual series. So we do virtual training, we do face-to-face training, and then of course, I travel to schools like you had mentioned for School of Santas last year, which has my good friend Lee Andrews as the headliner coming in this year's. Spangles does a great job, and I was so humbled and honored to do 2 days with him. So
We were humbled and honored. It was a great time. It was a great time. Poor Jeff had to sit through my first year of learning how to MC an event, so he had grace and determination at every turn. So
oh,
they invited me back this year, so keep them in your prayers.
yeah. Yeah. Well, one of the things I try to stress to people that are interested or ask me about Kringle U is um, I'm entertaining, but please don't come expecting to be entertained. Come to learn. All right. It's a hands-on. I don't talk about philosophy. All right. I teach you how to do it. Now, you have to have the philosophy in order to do it, but that's not, we get up and we move. We do the magic. We do movement. We don't just lecture. And I think that's one of the things that separates KU from a lot of the different venues that are out there teaching Santas today.
And you're right. I think it's that movement. I think it's the Jeff. You never get bored. You're not getting death by PowerPoint. You feel first. You're learning, but you don't feel like you're learning.
Yeah.
A lot of us have been in this business for a long time. I learned so much just watching you. I was like, wow, I still use a lot of it.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel like you're learning, and it's kind of funny because you say you don't come to entertain, but your natural progression and personality and the way you present things, folks, Jeff is entertaining, and it's learning with fun and determination, and absolutely one of the best courses I have ever seen. So if you ever have a chance for KU, look it up. You will not be disappointed. I don't think I laughed that hard. I had a rough year prior to that. I don't think I laughed that hard in a very long time, but it was definitely fantastic. And Jeff's just a natural born speaker, a natural born teacher, and he's just amazing. So, and I want to switch to gallery view real quick here because I want to show all the wonderful family that's here.
Yes,
Um,
please. If any has questions, Santa questions, performance questions, circus questions, um, and even like planning how life, I'm a planner. I've got lists for my lists. And I think one of the things, one of the greatest compliments my father ever gave me was that he looked at me one day and he said, "You're just not afraid to fail, are you?" I said, "No." No, failing is a natural part of the creative process, as long as we learn from it and not allow it to stop us. I have a little phrase every year. I have a little power phrase. I got it right up here. I got it written down here. I got it on my phone. I got it everywhere. Everywhere I look, you can see ACDC. All right. ACDC. Always creative. Don't contemplate.
I love that.
So often we get so caught up in our head that we convince ourselves that we can't do it before we ever try. So always be creative. Don't contemplate. Just do it.
That's a beautiful mantra, and it's very, very true. And what's unique is anybody who's joined us, who's a newer Santa in the group? I know Bob, right? Bob, a couple of the newer folks.
Yeah, I know
Jeff,
for sure.
what would you say to these newer Santas? Bob's amazing, by the way. He's like a Renaissance man, literally. Um, but what would you say to these newer Santas that are coming up and starting in this kind of digital age, this kind of age of technology? Um, what would your most coveted advice be to them?
I think to look at your personal life and what do you already have that you can build on rather than trying to start something completely new. So if you're a woodworker, you know those terminology of woodworking and building toys. Or if you worked in an iron factory, you can talk about, things from that. Or in the automotive industry, you can talk about how, here in Appleton, people drive cars, but I drive a sleigh, but there's a lot of correlations between cars and sleighs and da da da. So what do you already know that you can Santaize rather than trying to build from anew and use that as a platform? Not saying that that's where you have to stay, but that's a starting point so you don't have to create everything anew.
Good advice. This is very, very good advice.
And your hobbies, fishing, ice skating, whatever it might be. What do you like? Because your audience is never going to be more interested in a topic than you are.
Very
Right?
true.
So find something that you're passionate about in your personal life and sanitize it so that you can speak with that passion and purpose.
That does make great sense. I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite thing to talk about? What is your passion that you like to pull through when you're performing?
Oh gosh.
Like I put you in the hot seat.
Yeah, I think I, I think it would be my ability. The thing I like to talk about most is what they want to talk about. I do a lot of leading questions with children or adults and listen to that and listen. I listen to learn, not listen to hear, right? And I want to learn about them. And then because of my background and my improv, I can take a little bit of this and a little bit of that and knit a story that's customized to that situation.
That's good. That's awesome. 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 Awesome.
Yeah, it's
Very,
hard to
very.
duplicate
No,
because
that,
because it is, but it's personal to them then.
and I think that's a thing that a lot of people miss. I think they miss that personal connection. And you're right, that personal connection is very important. That tailoring to the person. People like tailor to the event, and you have to do that to a degree. But I think if you tailor to the spirit of the individual, you make that connection. That's in a way that's kind of the most amazing thing you can do for someone, and it comes back when you feel it as well.
Yeah, and a lot of that, Mel, goes to how we ask the questions, right? What is the tone in our voice? What are our eyes saying? What is our body posture saying, right? So our words, our eyes, and our body all have to be in harmony to send one undeniable beam of light to that person that you care, and they're the most important person at that time in your life. Everything
That
has everything has to be directed to them. Because if it's directed at me as Santa, then I believe I'm serving myself and I'm not serving them.
I think no truer words are spoken. How many times have we been in an opportunity where you're Santa or Mrs. Claus too? Because Mrs. Claus runs the show. Um, you're sitting in a chair. You've got a line full of like 200 kids waiting to see you, and you have a mother or a child saying, "You got a lot of people working. I got to go. I don't want to hold up your time, Santa." My favorite thing is to look at them and say, no, this is your moment. Santa loves you. We're going to take the moment to talk. Don't worry about those. They'll visit with me. You have to make that connection because otherwise you're just an assembly line. You want a football kid, push him down the slide. There you go. You know,
Yep.
making that connection. And that's one thing that I've that you've reinforced in my life. Making that connection, showing who you are to the moment is absolutely a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And
I,
it's
I
learn.
did work for years, thousands of children a day. And it's a challenge to make every one of those children feel special. You had asked me a moment ago about what would I recommend for a beginning Santa. I think every Santa, personally, this is just my opinion, and many people disagree with this, and I'm okay with that. But I think every Santa should do at least one season in a mall just to experience it. And if you go and you sit in the chair, and as Mel just said, you want a football kid, all right, boom, and pump them through, it's a waste of time. But if you look at how people are acting in line, if you learn from each opportunity, you've got 700 to 1,000 opportunities a day to grow, to learn 5 or 6 new things that you can carry to the next day, and then 5 or 6 new things that day to carry to the next day. And by the time you're done with a 40-day or a 50-day season, you're pretty seasoned by that point. And then go into do home visits, because you've got the experience of answering questions on the fly, and take that time, and then go into home visits. I think that would probably be another bit of advice. Malls are tough. It's not for everybody, and it certainly wasn't. It's not long term for a lot of people. Other people, it is. And they say, "Oh, I hear Santas all the time say, oh, mall Santas, they're bottom feeders, and the pay is terrible." Yeah, you know what I made? I made $122 a week with The Greatest Show on Earth, but I wasn't there to get rich. I was there to get rich in experiences. The money came later. And I think a lot with the Santas, if you're looking at a business, go and do a mall for a year, learn what you can, and the money will come later from those experiences.
I think a lot, just speaking of me personally, and please everybody weigh in, I did 2 years of mall work, and anyone that says mall Santas are bottom feeders, they need to sit on a tack. One of my dear friends and mentors, Bob McMasters, who's actually here lurking, I think, he's a mall Santa. He's incredible.
Yeah.
I did it there's a couple of times, and I went home and cried. It was a lot, because you really have to think on the fly. You really have to make that connection. But I learned so much from just doing that. And it conveys to where I work at the orchard now, because it's kind of that same atmosphere where you're going through lots of people in a short period of time, and you make that connection. But you do learn a lot from people in the line, little things you hear, their actions, what they're wearing, what their mom calls them. You learn so much. So I agree.
When you're done with a day, though, it's important to journal. Because I don't know about you, but I can't tell you how many vivid things I've had in my mind that I said, oh, it's so crystal clear, so etched in there, there's no way that I'll ever forget. And then 10 minutes later, I can't even cross-reference what it was related to. So when a moment of inspiration or something that works for you, that speaks to your heart, jot it down, make a note. I've got piles of notebooks everywhere I go, of ideas and things. But it's not just writing it down, it's going back and recapturing it later, right? And using that as a toolbox of ideas.
That makes sense. I actually have never done that. I think I'm going to start doing that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Very good idea. Very good idea.
Mel, it looks like we got a couple raised hands here.
Yes.
Matt just beat me to it. It looks like we have a couple questions here. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, that's all right. I was just making sure you didn't miss them. I was
doing
my co-host job.
Hi, John. This is Victoria calling from Round Rock. I just had a quick question for you.
Yeah.
We have a bulk buyer here that's going to be spending over the $10,000 cash policy, but I didn't see anything about if we could split the transaction.
No. No. If he's spending $10,000, if he's doing $10,000 total, he has to fill out the tax form.
Okay.
If he spends $10,000 in a day, he has to fill out the tax form. If it's cash. Period.
Okay.
If he yeah, it should be there. If he refuses that, if he doesn't want it, then you don't do the sale.
Okay, already.
We will not do. We will not do any. If he could break it into 10 sales. I don't care if he's still spending $10,000 in cash. He must fill out the IRS form.
Now, can you mic us all?
Is he able to return back tomorrow to do another total?
Yep.
Mel, I'm not hearing you at all.
Okay.
I got it fixed. One of us got it fixed.
I appreciate it. Wouldn't do anything. Sorry, we were trying to.
Yeah, it was being weird. I'll go to our first question here, Mel.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Bob Kiefer.
I didn't really have a question, but Jeff, I appreciate so much of your wealth of information. First of all, thank you so much. It's like I'm new to all of this, and I want to be I want that mall Santa experience, to be honest. Like I want to do that because I had my first official season last year and it was great. I mean, honestly, it was fantastic. I got a ton of gigs and I loved every second of it and found it to be one of the most probably emotionally rewarding things I've ever done in my life. No lie. I would have done it for free, literally. But I want to do this mall Santa experience too, because I feel like you said, like it's to me, I work in a technology industry right now, and learning new things in that industry, especially in the modern environment, is like drinking out of the fire hose, right? And I feel like that would be the that's the experience that I want. Like I thrive and I grow from that. Like going and having like this huge number of kids just come through, and you're almost in a position where you're forced to practice your skills in improv over and over and over again, right? It's a trial by fire. So I feel like you've kind of just hammered that home for me. Like, it's just something to like everybody should experience it. And maybe it's not for you, but maybe it is for you, you know?
And if you don't know, I mean, if you don't try it, you don't know. But
Right.
one of the greatest pieces of advice I ever received was from Santa Russ, the gentleman, my local Santa here, that just passed away. When I was getting into it, he said, "Don't worry about the set manager. Don't worry about the elves. Don't worry about the pictures. I mean, you need to be in harmony with them. You need to be in contact with them, but don't try to run the photo set. That's not your job. You're hired to be Santa. Manage the 5 feet around the chair. That's your responsibility." Where a lot of Santas get in trouble in malls is when they try to get involved in the other side of the business, in the photo side. We're a prop. There's no doubt about it. You got to accept that.
That's the other thing. Like
and I'm okay with that because
me too.
I'm
where I work, my job, what my responsibilities in my job are super siloed. Like I do this, right? And and that's how I kind of thrive in that. Like this is my job. I don't want to pretend to be a photographer. I don't want to pretend to be a greeter. I am going to focus on this job and I'm going to excel at it. But anyway, one of the things that actually has kind of inspired me to want to be Santa is I was a cosplayer before, and I've been a cosplayer for like 20 years, and now I'm getting like, and I used to cosplay as Batman. Yeah, and I used to cosplay as Batman, and one of these Matt knows, and one of I don't know if I can share this photo or not, or maybe you'll see it, but this was my first. I don't know if I can do it on a Mac but one of my first experiences with a mall Santa as an adult, as a Batman cosplayer, was here in Charlotte, North Carolina. He was one of the best, and he posed for this picture with me when I was in costume at the South Park Mall. I walked through the mall dressed in the full costume. And man, he was so into it.
Bob, I might have that picture. Hang on.
Do you? Yeah.
I think I do. I think I randomly.
It's crazy.
Before
it's like
I knew
post
who
it
you
every
were,
year.
I think I saved it somewhere because I thought it was fun.
I love it so much. I post it every year at Christmas. I could probably drag and drop it into the chat of this. I don't know if that works. Does it work? Hold on. I put it in the chat. But there it is. So I'm Batman in that picture, but I mean, you can just see in his face, this guy brought so much energy to the whole thing. And he was an amazing Santa. Like it wasn't just me. It was like every kid that came before me and every kid that came after me, he was that same way. And every time I go back, I'm always looking for him. I've never seen the exact same guy. Maybe somebody knows who he is. He's in Charlotte, North Carolina, but it was great. It was a great experience. And it kind of inspired me. I was like, man, I want to be like that. That's a superhero right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Bob, reach out to me privately, send me some messages. I'm happy to help you if malls is something that you want to explore.
Okay.
I certainly help you.
Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, absolutely.
Find a good seat. Now's the time to do it.
See, I'm super aware of that too. Like if I learned anything from last year, because I started late last year and I still, had a pretty good season, but I like this year, it's like time now. The time is now. So I'm aware of that too. So
Yeah.
I will. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
reach out. I can put you in contact with good people.
I super appreciate that. Thank you so much. Super cool.
More questions.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, we had Ted Flynn had a question there.
Well, again, not so much a question, but I love the idea of every Santa doing a mall, but you got to be very careful. Some mall experiences are not good, and you could drive a new Santa right out of the business. My suggestion would be, if you're new, go out and try everything. Find what you absolutely love, and then focus on specializing in that. Now, I have settled into a Cabela's and love it. I wouldn't want to do anything else. I mean, it's the greatest thing. But my situation may be different. I've been doing this a lot of years. And I talk to people that do malls, and some of them just love them, and some of them go, well, I'm hanging up the suit. I'm never doing this again. So be careful.
Yes. And that's why you kind of need, I agree 100% with what you're saying, Ted. 100%. If you get into a bad mall with a bad mall manager, and elves that don't show up, it can be a rough season. There's no doubt about that. And that's the thing. You don't control that side of the business, right? We don't get any input on who the set manager is or who the elves are. It's at somebody else's responsibility. So it can be. I've had horrible seasons, and I've worked split chairs with horrible Santas. I'm not afraid to admit that. But it can also be a really good learning experience. So, thank you, Ted. Your point is well taken and spot on.
Great job, Ted. So, makes sense. So, you guys have great questions. All right, Lewis, I know you had a question, dear.
I have several of them.
What you got?
I am an amateur clown myself. So welcome to the club, mate.
Thank you. You've got a wonderful clown smile.
Yes, he does.
Thank you.
I didn't know that, Lewis. That's awesome. What other questions did you have for Jeff, Don?
Since you who graduated from the clown college and performed at Ringling, what gags did you perform?
Well,
if you remember them.
Sure. No, I remember them well. In clown gags, in the circus, we refer to it as a track gag, and that's the area between the audience and the rings. There's a track that goes around.
Yes.
So in my track gags, I did a reducing act where we took a fat lady and made her skinny. I was in drag. We did what's called a long arm, where my gloves, I would climb up the high wire ladder, right, to get to the very top. And of course, there's all the anticipation of climbing a flimsy ladder all the way to the top. And then I would get on the trapeze. And when I would swing back and forth a few times, then I would let go. And it's called a long arm routine. And I had long sleeves I had Velcro on my gloves that would Velcro to the trap. And when I would let go, my sleeves would so I was laying in the net and my hands were still stuck up on the trapeze. That was one of my favorite pieces. There's a very, very famous dwarf clown called Prince Paul.
I heard of him. He was a whiteface.
He was a whiteface clown. I was Prince's last performing partner in Madison Square Garden.
Before he died?
He didn't die on the show. We took him off the show. He was a little person, and he had a pacemaker put in a few years prior, and quite often that dementia starts to set in in Little People After a Pacemaker, and that's exactly what happened to Prince. But he carried a large stack of pancakes, and I had a spatula that looked like a net. And Prince would run around the track, and I would chase him with the spatula as he had this tray of pancakes that was about to spill over. So that was one of the cool bits as well.
If I'm not mistaken, Prince Paul was the only whiteface clown without a red nose.
He may have at one point. He had a nose. He had a small nose. He didn't wear a big rubber nose. He just had a dot nose.
Pretty interesting.
Well,
but that may have been added after what you were referring to, Lewis.
Yeah, so it's either rubber, or painted. As I was saying, what year did you graduate from the clown college?
I was in clown college in 1979.
You're probably familiar. You're probably familiar with Lou Jacobs, Frosty Little.
Yeah, Frosty was my boss clown at the time. Lou was on the red show. I was on the blue show.
Then you did.
But Lou and I became friends after the show as well. We taught at many clown conferences together.
Watch this, boys. Watch this.
I got a great. If we have time, I've got a great Lou story. Do we have time for a story, Mel?
We have absolutely plenty of time.
There was Lou had an act that now Lou Jacobs is the god of clowning, and he had an act which most people have probably seen, which required him to get in and out of a little tiny car that about the size of a car that our kids would play with in the driveway. Well,
I've seen it.
Lou was 6'3", but he was a contortionist before he became a clown.
True.
A lot of people don't realize that. Well, Lou had done this act for years and years and years, and came backstage one day, got out of the little car, and called over the boss clown, Frosty, as Lewis said, and he said, "Frost, the car's starting to get a little hard to do. It's starting to hurt my back. I was wondering if you and the boys could push the car down to the shop and weld on some extensions." So, of course, whatever Lou asked for, Lou got. And so a bunch of we started to push the little car towards the welding shop. And Frosty said, "Boys, wait just a minute." And he looked at Lou and said, "Lou, would 5 or 6 inch extensions be enough?" And Lou looked at that little car and then looked at us and looked at at Frosty and said, 5 or 6 inches? No. I need 1/4 of an inch.
Oh my.
1/4 of an inch. Now stack up 5 dimes. That's 1/4 of an inch. Now I'm talking about adding 4 or 5 objects or inches to an object in this room or in a venue that you and I would play. I'm talking about adding 4 or 5 inches to an object in Madison Square Garden in the LA Coliseum, right? The audience never would have known the car was a little bigger. And we, the performers, wouldn't have cared if the car was a little bigger. In fact, if we had built the car, we probably would have built it bigger to begin with. But Lou knew in his mind what that act should look like. And in order to be true to his audience, he had to first be true to himself. So he limited that extension to 1/4 of an inch, and then went on for 3 more years doing that act. Yeah, but how often, it reminds me, how often do we ask for this when we only need this? And I think a lot of us are afraid to ask for this because we might get it, then we have to do it, and we're held accountable to it. So sometimes it's easier to ask for more than we really need so that we don't have to do it.
You're right.
It's a performer head game.
That it's actually very deep when you think about it. We ask for this when we really only need this. So fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Great question. So I'm impressed, Lewis. All right. Who else has a question for Jeff?
Did you ever get any shoes from Clown Support?
No. No, I did not. I've got some. I shouldn't say I have some. I haven't worn them. They were gifted to me. Uh, most my clown shoes were made by a gentleman by the name of Al Fast out of Michigan, actually. He was a very popular shoemaker for Ringling. Made a lot of clown shoes. And I still wear the same shoes I had in 1979.
That says a lot.
Had them resold a few times, but yeah. I've got more Santa shoes and clown shoes than I have Jeff shoes. I wake up in the morning not quite sure who I'm going to be that day.
I completely get that. I have more Santa clothes than I have regular clothes, and same with shoes. So I completely understand.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. I'm just sitting here listening, and I'm looking at everybody else as well. It's just amazing everything that you've done, Jeff. It looks like Bart has a question. Hey, Bart.
Yeah, Jeff, hi. I got in here super late, so I have no idea what you've talked about and haven't. But did you get a chance to elaborate on your little Santa shed?
No, I did not talk about that yet, Bart.
Would you be willing to? I think it's fascinating.
Sure.
Yep. That was definitely on the agenda.
I was coming out of a mall season. Must be 4 years ago now. This will be my third year in the cottage. And I hate to fly on Christmas Day. It's just so chaotic. So I would normally negotiate with the agency that would book me for that year to fly back after January 1st. So I would stay in the hotel an extra week and just sleep and recover. It was my reflection time, and I did a lot of journaling and sleeping. But this particular year, I needed to get back home. So I decided to fly on Christmas Day. Well, I left on Christmas morning at 4 a.m. from the hotel, and I didn't get back to Appleton till the 28th of December. Flight delay, flight change, sleeping in hotel airports, and it was just a horrible, horrible time to get back. Now, the Santa came through, and I made a lot of people happy that were in the same situation that I was in at the airport during that time. But during that time, I had some downtime, and so, like I said, I'm an avid writer, and so I took out my notepad and I made a list of everything I liked about mall work and everything I didn't like about mall work. I made a list about everything parents like about bringing their children to the mall and things they don't like, and everything that children like about coming to the mall and everything they don't like. And then I took that don't like list and I said, wouldn't it be cool to create an environment that all of these don'ts could be removed from? And that's where Santa's Magical Christmas Cottage was born. So when I came back, I started working on this cottage to remove those situations, those negative things from that environment so that everything could be wonderful, a wonderful visit with Santa. No waiting in line. They pull right up to the cottage at their appointed time, and they come in, and families can spend 15, 30, or 45-minute visits with me. And the 15 is really a photo session. The 30 is photos and a few stories, and the 45 is photos, stories, and then we play some games and do a little extra time. It's not rushed at all. The cottage itself is 12 by 24, which seems small, but we pack a lot in there. And I'm sorry. Yeah, 12 by 26. And the reason it's those dimensions is that's as large as I could go in my community without having to get special zoning permits. So my wife and I own a martial arts academy here in town. Debbie is a sixth-degree black belt in American freestyle fighting. I'm a fifth degree. We also both have black sashes in Shaolin Kung Fu. We have a very successful karate academy that is Debbie's school. I support her in that effort. She has about 180 students that train with her at any particular time. And we put the cottage right in the parking lot of the karate school, so it was very convenient from that standpoint. There is no money exchanged in the cottage. Everything is paid in advance. They go to a site and they can register and pick out the time that they would like and the amount of time. They make their payment, and when they arrive, there's a big banner that tells them to turn to 97.1 FM, and it's a loop. I put a FM transmitter inside the cottage that transmits as a radio station. So as they're waiting for their visit, they can hear stories and jokes and riddles from Santa and from some elves, and a little sing-along time for them. When it's their turn to come in, the light by the door, at the front door, there's two beacons, a red beacon and a green beacon. A red beacon means that there's another family in visiting. And what would happen, my first year, I didn't have the beacons. And a family would walk out, and as soon as they walked out, the next family would come in thinking it was their time. Well, of course they would. There was no I failed to educate them as to when it was time for them to come in. Well, I need time to reset. I got to put props away, wipe the floors up, make sure that everything is special again for the next family. So I have 15 minutes in between appointments to be able to do that. So that's where the beacon came in. So when the beacon turns from red to green, that's their invitation to come in. Santa opens the door. The first thing they hear, they don't see Santa. They might see him moving around in the cottage if they're looking in the little window. But the door opens and they hear my bells first, and then they see Santa. Santa welcomes them in. They come in. They take their coats off. We've got coat racks, and while they're putting their coats away and taking their boots off, I transition over to my chair, and they come and join me, and we just go from there for 15, 30, or 45 minutes. It's absolutely magical. Very, very different than a mall setting. So that's my cottage. I do last year I did 160 appointments in the cottage. My friend Lauren Jensen from Michigan did close to 700 or 600 appointments last year in his cottage. I think the freestanding Santa venues is really catching on. And there's more and more Santas that are doing it. It's a huge investment, a financial investment, but even more so in time. Nobody does it for you. If it's going to get done, you have to pretty much do it yourself. You can hire it out, some things, but it's a year-round process. Every year in the cottage, I have a new theme, so that they're not coming into the same environment every year. Last year was trains. For those of you that are not familiar with me, I am the Santa for the National Railroad Museum. We do 41 shows of Polar Express, and tickets go on sale on July, I think 20th this year at noon, and by 2 o'clock, every train ride will be sold out. We do three shows a day for 14 days, so a total of 41 shows. And that's why my count isn't as high as Lauren's count, because I'm not open on Fridays and Saturdays for the first 3 weekends of the Christmas following Thanksgiving, right? That Thursday, Friday, and Saturday and Sunday, I'm at the museum, so there's a whole. I wish we could talk more about the business side and how to plan. I think so many Santas just try to fill their calendar this year. I'm looking at, this year and this year and this year. I think one of the important things for Santas to understand is that if you're simply filling dates each year, that's what you're doing. You're filling dates, but you're not building a business. And there's a whole mindset that goes behind a marketing plan and everything. Right now, I'm pretty much sold out through 2028.
Wow.
So between the museum and the cottage, and I took a look at a few years ago and started building what I refer to as legacy clients. And those are clients that have been with me for a while that book the same time each year, but they wouldn't book it. They say, well, send me a contract in April, right? When Santa's done and you're shaking hands, thank you. Hey, make sure to put us down for next year. Well, that's fine, but why don't I put you down for 3 years? Oh, you do that? Well, yeah. You bet I will. So, I'm booking 26, 27, 28 right now. In almost sold out. 26, 27 are sold out of my legacy. Legacy times are those Saturdays and Sundays between Thanksgiving and Christmas. All right. I don't have any legacy clients Wednesday afternoons. All right. But those prime times, lock those clients in long term, so that you're building a business and not just filling dates from year to year.
Great advice. Great advice. And Bart has put all kinds of pictures in the chat of the Santa's Cottage and just great pictures.
I'm not seeing the chat here at all. So
if you I got your back, Jeff.
Thank you.
Great pictures.
I raised my hand because if I take nothing away from this conversation tonight, I will take away the idea of offering to a customer to lock in for 3 years.
Yeah.
It never
changes everything.
It never occurred to me. Never. That's amazing. Thank you.
It works out great. I do that with my PGA courses. I book them out 3 to 5 years just to make sure that, but I like the term legacy client. I do like that. So very awesome. Great thing. And this Santa Cottage is amazing. I've had I want one so bad.
I'm so stoked about this idea. This is the coolest thing ever. Like, people to have that one-on-one time with Santa is like, I probably gave too much of that. Sorry if I'm hijacking, but I probably gave too much of that last year as my freshman year as a professional. I don't even like that term, but professional Santa, right? Because I want to give everybody that experience, and this really allows you to give that. There's so much you can delve into and create so much magic for a kid. I love this idea. I got to figure out a way to do this. So I love it.
Yeah, it's I don't think I would appreciate it if I didn't have the other Santa experiences going in, because it's so freeing to be in there. They're in Santa's Cottage. I don't wear my coat in there at all. I don't wear my boots. I wear Crocs.
Yeah, you got but you got the toy maker look, which I guess is what that's called. I love that. It's kind of like casual Santa, but still totally Santa. Oh man, I'm so psyched.
And one of the things that I make very clear is I call them stickies. There's no stickies, no food, no drink in the cottage.
Yeah.
And I don't have a trash can in the cottage because what are you going to?
Ain't nothing going on the floor in here.
No.
Yeah.
So we have a bakery right across the street from the karate school called Manderfield's, and I went in one day when I was developing this and asked Doug, the owner, and he and I have been friends for years, of course, through the karate school, and I said, Doug, can I print some little be our guest cards, cookie cards, because I wanted to give the children something, either a candy cane or a cookie or whatever. But there's so many allergies and things that are out there today that to have a variety of things to be able to make sure that you have enough different things to give a child if he has an allergy to this or to that, or peanut allergies and all these other things that are going on. And he said, oh, that would be great. No problem. So I printed up cookie cards, and every child that comes in gets a cookie card, and they can go across the street then and pick out their favorite cookie or muffin or donut that they would like. So again, they're getting a free cookie, but mom and dad are spending $15 to $20 every time they go in. So it's a win-win for the bakery as well as for the cottage.
Great cross marketing. I love that. Yeah. In Charlotte, there's a ton of, I don't know. There are a ton of breweries. And I mean, not that I would want to bring a kid to a brewery, but people do, because there are also things for kids to do. There's food and there's fun and there's kids. And it's not just like beer drinking, and it's not like that. But I feel like there's just opportunity here for that. And you've kind of opened my eyes to it. Maybe like restaurants or what. Is your cottage, I can't remember if you said, is that something that's always at that location at your at the karate school, and it's not something you bring in and drop in there? But
no, it's there year round. I only use it during the Christmas season.
Gotcha.
But it's portable, but it's permanent.
Yeah, it's big. It's big. It's very big. Like, but to me, to my eyes, it looks like huge. Like it's like a great space. So
Yeah. And there's 4 or 5 different photo opportunities. So we've got the big chair, we've got the bench with a backdrop, we've got the reindeer, stuffed reindeer in there, so that we can float that family around and them into 4 or 5 different settings within that little environment.
awesome. So awesome. We had toyed with the idea of a like a trailer. My one of my oldest daughter is who I've had the toughest time kind of bringing magic into her life. My youngest daughter is still believes in Santa and she's 19. So and then but the other one is more pragmatic and practical. And so, but ironically, since I've started doing this, it's like it's created this kind of fire in her to she's excited about it. And part of it's probably because I think she's a capitalist. But anyway, but but she was looking at we were looking at trailers and doing like a Santa experience where you go from place to place with this trailer and you also sell like hot cocoa and donuts and cookies and things like that. So
You're only limited by your own imagination.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was saying. So it's just I love to kind of, I don't know, I guess I like being validated. So your idea is just so cool. I love it.
Yep. One of the things I thought about doing, if I didn't, I contemplated doing this versus the physical structure of a cottage. I think they call them work site trailers. All right. And if you drive by a construction site, you'll see those mobile offices that they have. I've looked at some of those, and they make them in 24 to 30 feet. They come pre-done. That's a pretty slick thing. You could go pull in. You could pull into a grocery store, get their permission, pull in, and mark that you're going to.
You have a tremendous amount of space in what you have, but I feel like you don't even need that. I'm not saying you don't need that much because what you have is fantastic, but I'm saying you could do it with less and it wouldn't be probably as much movement and kind of freedom in there. But yeah, so cool.
Yeah, you certainly could. I don't think I would go any shorter than 20 feet, simply because by the time they come in and start to move around, the depth of you need some depth. You don't need the width, but you need the depth for pictures.
Yeah.
Jeff,
yeah.
Somebody here in the chat asked, do you have your own photographer or people bringing their own cameras?
No, they do their own pictures. And that, again, that's all laid out in advance. They are aware of that. I do have a tripod that they can put their phone in a remote that they can use to plug in if they want to do family pictures to get everybody in. But no, I do not provide a photographer. They're welcome to bring their own if they like. And many of them do. I would say of the 160, I would probably say 25 to 30 of them brought a photographer or a designated person that wasn't in the family to take pictures. But that is not a service that I provide. Again, I'm a one-man show. I try to keep it as simple as possible.
And just in relation to what Bob was talking about, Bart is dropping some photos in the chat of a mobile Santa house that is on wheels. So
yeah, Spangles has a trailer.
Yes, Spangle also has a trailer.
Website. I just shared that in the chat right now. Right now we haven't assigned the domain; it's still on the Wix site, but I built the site last night for his trailer. If you want to check that out, along with ones that Bart's got some great ones. It's amazing. I do want to take just a quick break, if I may, for a station. What do they call it? A station?
Station identification?
Yeah, station identification. Thank you. Child of the 70s. I had to remember that. I do want to say thank you to everybody. As you know, Santa's Magical Fellowship Group is on the Tuesday Night Live platform. Tuesday Night Live has something for everybody. Monday night is Mrs. Claus Vintage and the Claus Consortium, Sean White. Tuesday and Tuesday during the day is Phineas, Mike Hutchings, Phineas and Bob. Their show is absolutely amazing. Tuesday, you have obviously Tuesday Night Live. What else are you going to do on a Tuesday night? Amazing show, top-notch guests, Claus performers. It's just They had Ruth and Kathy on the other night. It was absolutely amazing. Wednesday, can't forget the Kringle brothers. They're on Wednesday nights. Thursday, you have Santa's Magical Fellowship Group. Every other week, you have polar opposites. Santa J Mac and Santa Jamie, our much beloved heat miser and cold miser, as they delve into subjects that's on everyone's mind. Wonderful show. Every other Thursday night, we have special guests like Jeff tonight on. Shows will run a little longer. Friday nights are open for now, but you never know what TNL is up to. Absolutely blessed to be part of this platform. And we have viewership from all over. So we appreciate you. I'm going to put a couple things in the chat. Spangle the Clown is actually, he told me to tell you because Bob's here that Tuesday Night Live is poor and needs to make money. So he's got Tuesday Night Live tumblers he's selling. And he's offering a special discount to Santa's Magical Fellowship Group members. They're $20 free shipping in the continental U.S. I think that's what he said. So pretty cool there. So with the station identification done, I'm also going to put one trivia question into the chat here in a little bit as we kind of continue to pick Jeff's mind. And the winner of that trivia question will receive a entry on a scholarship to North Pole Cornerstones next year. And School of Santa or School of Santa's the following year. It'll be their choice. So thank you for that. Sorry for the station break. I just wanted to get out there and thank everybody for being part of the platform, being part of the love, and being part of the family. So right back to you, Jeff. Any other? I see, Bart, do you still have your hand raised, or did I never lower it?
Yeah, I still have it raised. I just was going to chime in here, too, because there's a neighboring town to where I live in southeastern Wisconsin. They're actually on their second house. The first one was vandalized, but it has always been like a community project. And when it came time to renovate or build a brand new one, the community stepped up. I've got some pictures of different organizations within Watertown donating big checks and stuff like that. So if you really want to do this, you don't have to do it alone. If you pitch it to the city fathers and the fraternal organizations in the community, there's a good chance, especially since the concept is well established, and you can point to places like Watertown, Wisconsin that have done it. I don't see if you don't want to do this that you can't accomplish it. But but you're the man and you're married to it from that point on. Now this thing is on wheels and they do run it around town, even to some neighboring towns too.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a mission. The idea is they'll, because it's got full power and everything, just like Jeff was saying, you hook it right up to a power pole and stuff. But it's mobile and they will race around town and into the countryside even because, like I said, it's a mission. This Santa wants to be for the people.
Yeah. And thank you, Bart. The city of Appleton, Downtown Development Inc., I think they're called ADI, they're after me every year to move my cottage from the karate school to downtown Appleton. And I don't because I lose creative control at that point as soon as I start doing that. And there's so many other regulations that come into play when you start working with a municipality. A municipality. But you're right. If this is something that you want to investigate, go and talk to some of the people, the leaders in your community and the downtown associations and see if they can help sponsor it. Because they're willing to do it. It's a great idea and it changes the dynamic. I hate to say it, but I think malls are kind of going on the way out. And I don't know how long they're going to continue to service quality Santas in the malls. So it's a good thing to at least explore if that's something that you want to look at. And I'm here to help you. If that's something that you want to do, just reach out to me. I'm always here to help. Because there's a lot to it.
Yeah, and I know, for example, another wonderful Santa who he has built his Santa Lincoln Crumb. He doesn't have a Santa cottage, but he rented an old storefront, an empty storefront in his town, and he rents that out, and that is the Santa venue. It's a place that he has just continued to pay rent on, and every year he modifies it. And I think this will be his third year doing it, I believe, and he has found a lot of value in that. So if you can't get a trailer or a house or whatever, your downtown may have an open storefront that you could rent for a reasonable rate as well. So
correct. Yep.
That makes sense. It's amazing. There's a lot of different options that you have out there, a lot of different things you can do. Like Jeff said earlier, you're really only limited by your imagination. And collectively, folks, we've got one heck of a bunch of imaginations here. So the sky is literally the limit. And already a lot of you are just doing great things. I'm seriously like your biggest fan. You all do amazing things for the community. And we learn and grow from each other. Like I said earlier, I learned a lot from Jeff last year. I learned a lot from you each and every week. And that's why we're here to support each other and love each other and learn from each other. Now, Jeff, I was going to ask you, I always like to ask this question, and I stopped asking it for a while. I don't know why, but I want to ask you, what is your absolute most funny Christmas story from the chair that you can share with us?
Funny?
Yes.
I got a favorite. I was working a mall in Las Vegas, and it's many malls out there, what they refer to as outside malls. We don't have them here in Wisconsin, but it's like a series of strip malls all connected. And it was a large mall. Well, in the center court of the mall is where they had their Christmas display, and they had a huge Christmas tree put up. And next to the tree is where my house was, and it was a kind of a Norman Rockwell Christmas cottage, somewhat elite, only one family in at a time, but in a mall setting. And the line, we processed them just like we would in a mall. They just waited outside and came through. Well, I had this little boy and girl come in. They were probably, I don't know, maybe 6 and 4. And the little girl was the older. She was the big sister. And she was playing the Are You the Real Santa game with me. Well, if you're the real Santa, blah, 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 what's this, what's that, what's this, what's that. And of course, if you have a good backstory that you don't hesitate, you can convince them that you truly are the real Santa. And finally, she got so exasperated, she looked at me and she said, "If you're the real Santa, make it snow." And I looked at her and I said, "Well, honey, that sounded like a challenge." "Well, if you're not the real Santa, Santa can make it snow." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what." I said, "Come over here." And I always wear a pocket watch. So that's kind of one of my trademark pieces that I always wear. And I opened it up and I showed it to her. I said, "Honey, do you know what this is?" I said, "It's a pocket watch. It keeps track of time and it lets me know when it's time to, give Mrs. Claus a kiss and to feed the reindeer and whatnot." And I said, "But do you see the time right here?" I said, "When that little hand gets to the 7 and the big hand gets to the 12, which is in about 10 minutes from now, all right? That's like one SpongeBob, okay? What'll happen if you just watch out at that big tree, I will make it snow for you." Well, she didn't realize that every evening at 7 o'clock, that tree snows. So they went out, and at 7 o'clock, the lights come on, the music starts playing, and it starts to snow. It wasn't 30 seconds after that little boy and that little girl were on the outside tapping on the window going, "Santa, Santa, it's snowing. You are him. You are him." And she starts crying. She says, "I told you there was a real Santa." And it was like, oh, it's probably my favorite mall, one of my favorite mall stories. Yeah. But again, it's being in touch with your environment, knowing what's going on and how to use that to your benefit. We don't need to carry in bags and bags of props. Use what's around you. And that's one of the things that clowning really taught me, was how to use ordinary things in extraordinary ways to create impact.
Absolutely. Like a dear friend of mine says, situational awareness is actually one of your biggest tools. So that is an amazing story. I love that. Love it. So I can only picture those kids' faces when it was snowing.
I still remember it just as if it happened yesterday.
That is great. Man, Jeff, this is an exciting evening. I'm like a kid at Christmas, just listening. I'm taking notes. If you see me clicking away, I'm actually taking notes. This is just fantastic. So tell me, and I'm excited. You have been appointed and inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2023. And reading your biography, that really touched me. That is absolutely amazing. What does, and I know it's a deep question, what does a Hall of Fame Santa mean to you?
That's a great question. I'm still wrapping my head around it.
I couldn't do it.
I think it's validation of my life work, meaning that I'm doing the right thing at the right time with the right people, for the right purpose, and to be able to start a completely different style of performance at that age, when I was like 50, 55, when I really started to transition into this and not just put the suit on, but really become Santa. And you'll hear me quite often say, I don't refer to my Santa clothes as a costume. A costume is something that I put on at Halloween time and I pretend to be a turtle, a ninja turtle or something. I put on Santa's clothes and I don't pretend to be. So I refer to my wardrobe as wardrobe or clothes, not as a costume. Is it semantical? Absolutely. But it has to start up here in order to come out here. The whole Hall of Fame, I came to me out of left field. I wasn't expecting it at all. But just the validation that of my work, I think, is what I take away from it, and the responsibilities that go along with that. I gotta be nice. I gotta be nicer now, and more helpful. Because people often say, Jeff, why do you spend hours every day helping Santas? And I have paid opportunities to do tutoring and mentoring and those sorts of things, but I spend literally hours every day helping people. And it's because if I might be the Santa that follows you at an event, and if you go in and do a bad job, it makes my job going in a lot harder. But if I can help you become a better Santa and you do a good job, it makes me following you the following year or years later, or the next Santa, it doesn't need to be me, but the next Santa coming in, easier, and just being helpful. I am the face of a very creative team. I don't do all this on my own.
But I tell you what, and this honor is so deserved, my friend. Just in following, you for just the past little bit of decades that I've known you and of you, you're amazing. You do have the heart of Santa, and you show it in your everyday life. So it is a well-deserved honor, my friend. And I'm a better person just for knowing you. And we're all proud of you, and it's amazing. So, and just seeing you're so humble and so kind, but you definitely deserve this. And I know there's amazing things for you in your future.
God willing.
I'm so blessed to call you a friend, and thank you for always being there for me too. Like when I reach out, or if I'm down, it's always like when I'm down, I get a message from Jeff. It's like a ESP thing, I think, Jeff. But you are amazing. So I see Jerry has his hand up too.
Yes.
So what you got, Jerry?
Hey, Jeff, thanks for coming on. It's great to see you again, and you're doing such a great job. Since you do this train every year, and this year I've decided I'm going to do some Polar Express because I've never done it. I kind of want it on my resume, if you will. Been Santa for a long time, but I've never done the Polar Express. So I signed up to do it this year, and they've already contacted me. I guess I got enough creds to do Polar Express.
Nice. It's cool.
But any advice for the Polar Express? Is it any
No,
different than
no, I
anything?
don't. And I don't in this conversation, Jerry, because every Polar Express experience is different. Okay. But just be yourself. Don't try to be the TV, the movie.
Yeah, I never do that.
Just be yourself and you'll be fine. But as you're getting closer to the season and they start to define what your role is within the Polar experience, shoot me a message or something and I can help you with that. But just without knowing what that venue is, per se, it's hard for me to give advice. At the National Railroad Museum, what happens is the audience comes in and they go into the museum itself first, and they go through into the big we call it the Lenfesti Center, but they watch an abridged version of Polar Express on a big screen, and then we have a dance company that does the hot cocoa dance for them, and one of the conductor reads part of the Polar Express, the book, the story, and that session lasts 30 minutes, and then they come out to the train and they load onto the train, and I'm in hiding, and then I go through each car and do pictures in the car, and the last two cars, what we refer to as the premium cars, and I do a little show for them, and then pictures in those two cars. And so I do three shows a night, like that.
Well, from what I gathered reading the thing they sent me, is that everybody loads on the train and it drives out. This is like downtown St. Louis. We got Union Station, like everybody else probably, but they drive out, and somewhere down by the arch, there's a Santa there, and they stop the train, and that Santa comes out and waves, but he's pretty far away. And then when they leave there, the Santas are hiding in the car the whole time. Each car has its own Santa, and
Okay.
then when it leaves there, then Santa is supposed, he gets on the train, and of course you're already there, and then you walk down, and then on the way back you hand out the bells for the sleigh bells and stuff like that. Seems like a pretty good time. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, it's fun. I can't imagine my Christmas anymore being happening without Polar. It's neat.
Well, I like the movies. I watch it 2 or 3 times a year usually.
Very
So
cool.
I'm just a big kid.
But once they define that some more, if you want to reach out to me, I'm always here to help, Jerry.
All right, thank you. And I did take away that one-on-one comment you made a while ago. When I seen you at School of Santa last year, it made me a better Santa this year than I've ever been, because I got more connected with each child or whoever I was reacting with,
Yep.
So you're never too old to learn.
No. Be the laser beam.
And I'm getting pretty old. How's your back doing? Your back was going out there at school.
Oh, it's a long story, but I'm fine.
You didn't bring your friend with you to help you out with all the stuff.
Lauren?
Yeah. Where's Lauren?
Lauren!
He just joined us. He's sitting there.
Is he?
What do you need now?
Okay,
I'll tell you, I would not be the Santa I am today without Lauren. No question about that. No question. Yeah, no, reach out to me and we'll get you all ready for Polar. My back is fine. There isn't anything I can't do. It just takes me longer, and I do it different than I used to. Every once in a while when I have my hands are completely numb. So for a juggler and a card manipulator, those skills have been taken from me. I can no longer do either of them. I can dabble in it, but nothing on a performance level, and my legs are going numb, so it's harder for me to walk distances. But every once in a while when I have that pity moment or two, God puts somebody with no legs and a crippled arm in front of me and says, "Shut up. We're not done with your work yet, young man."
I got full feeling in my hands and I can't juggle, so
I'm just finding different things to do. I found this little piece of coal, and so you take the coal and then you vanish the coal and it turns into a diamond. So those are, I'm learning different types of magic, I guess you could say, and things. So it's forcing me to grow into areas I would not have grown into otherwise.
Absolutely. I think it's the evolution of us as
in my head, I'm still 18.
In my head, I'm still wondering how you made that fat and slim.
Just as vibrant and ready to go, and then I get out of bed and go, "Oh, wait a minute, what happened here?" But it's all good. It's all good. I'm fine.
Great questions, guys. Fantastic questions. I just dropped my email address in the chat. If you, throughout the week, if you think of any questions or anything and you want to find out what Jeff thinks, Jeff, if you don't mind, ask me, email me, and then I'll shoot them over to you if they have any questions. Definitely, if you think of anything, email me anytime, day or night. I'm an insomniac, as most of you know. And I'll be happy to share your questions with Jeff. Other than that, Jeff, man, thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for being you. You are Christmas magic. I tell everybody in this group, and I'm hopefully people are not sick of hearing it from me, because it's what I speak and it's the truth. When you look in that mirror every day, you are looking back at Christmas magic. Never forget that. You are the keepers of Christmas magic, and you are the reason that there's joy and love in so many people's world. And I am blessed to know each and every one of you. Jeff, I am just, like I said, you're the Santa I want to be too when I grow up. Thank you for being a mentor and a friend and just being there. You are absolutely Christmas magic, and all of us together, we're just ornaments on the beautiful tree of life, and you're all amazing. If there's no other questions, we've grilled Jeff for so long.
Well, I'm good. Were there any other questions? I thought someone just popped one in, something about clowning. It appeared and then disappeared off my screen. So
just put one in the chat.
I was going to ask, but it might be too long if you're trying to wrap this up. Jeff, are you primarily a solo act, or do you work with a Mrs. Claus?
I have a Mrs. Claus, but I don't do a lot of work with her. I do the Appleton Christmas Parade and downtown Appleton Christmas in July with her. She's a wonderful Mrs. Claus, but I do work solo. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. That wasn't a bad question. That was a long question.
I have a hard time finding people that keep up with me. I've burned out a few Mrs. Clauses. Anyway, that's enough.
I wasn't sure if your wife got involved in that or not.
No, she does not. And her line is she's too young and too sexy to Mrs. Claus. And I said, no, that's nothing could be further from the truth. But she's a great support. She's 100% behind everything I do. But she has no desire to be a Mrs. C. And that isn't something that you can force on someone. If they don't have that passion to be there, you can see it in their face immediately. So don't force people into it. And I would not force her to do it. Would I welcome it? Yeah. Would it be fun? Absolutely. But my marriage comes first, and her happiness comes first.
Amen. That's a beautiful way to live. And you know, just seeing your face light up talking about her, that's just so sweet and cute.
Yeah, I would be so screwed if anything ever happened to her. You know, many of us Santas have been married a long time. Some of us, unfortunately, have lost our partners along the way. But people often ask, they'll say, Jeff, what is the secret to being married for 41 years? And there isn't a secret. Every morning I wake up And the first thing I do is I ask myself, what do I need to do to make her love me one more day? I never take that love for granted. And I work that becomes my primary goal is to please her first, and then everything else is secondary. Unlike Debbie, who wakes up and says, what does he need to do to make me love him one more day? So
you guys
she is truly the reason I am who I am. So,
and who you are is just perfect, Jeff. Goodness gracious,
far from perfect, but I'm just a humble servant who gets up and tries to make a little bit of difference.
I think that's what makes us almost perfect, because we can be perfectly flawed, but we can be perfectly awesome. Yeah. And you are. So
I'm flawed.
And anybody else have any questions for Jeff?
Yes, I'm sorry. I came in late because my Wi-Fi was down, but that was my question. You might have covered it. Coming from a clown background, what advantages does that give you to being Santa?
Huge. Again, because
we just freeze. No. Frozen?
Right or wrong. That it's the improv skills that you picked up from being a clown that you use most of anything.
Yes. Yeah. And part of my career that I didn't share is that I spent 5 years on the comedy circuit doing stand-up comedy. And worst 5 years of my life. Worst 5 years of my life, but I learned an awful lot about dealing with people. And as I grew through the ranks of clubs, I came to realize that being funny and being true to yourself and not selling out is important. And let me explain what I mean. I used to think that being a stand-up a comedian meant that you had to be funny. No, not necessarily true. What you have to do is sell drinks for the club. That's the bottom line. That's the business side of what we do. So when I would go in and I would do rope tricks and engaging people in straitjacket escapes and whatnot and having fun and engaging them, my drink count was always very, very low because people didn't need to drink. They were having fun and we were engaging. And that 20-minute or 30-minute or 40-minute set would go by very quickly. But so at the end of the night, my drink count to the bar owner or the club owner was always the lowest of whether I was headlining or opening or wherever it was always the lowest. And it was because I didn't make people feel nervous. But when you talk about profanity, when you talk politics and talk vulgarity and make people feel nervous and talk about racial things, they drink a lot. And that's where the club likes that because they're making money. That's what they're in business for. So I got to the point where I was opening for and touring with Roseanne Barr and David Spade, and those are some my contemporaries. We came up in the comedy world together. I had to make that decision. Now, when you start playing arenas and theaters, you can come back to being who you are as far as being funny. Red Skelton never talked about profanity, never made people feel uncomfortable. And that was somebody that I admired because he didn't sell out to the club owners to do those things that would hurt his career. So when it got to the point where I had to make that decision, either continue to change who I am and do profanity and make people nervous, or stay true to who I am, that's when I left the world, the comedy world. So, well, the club world, I should say. Yeah, but I learned an awful lot about people in how to deal with hecklers. I didn't like that part. I didn't like to make people feel bad, but at some point you have to you have to do it, and you can do it politely and you can do it tastefully. Otherwise, it ruins it for everybody else. Not much different than going into doing a home visit, and you got that 12-year-old that's gonna try to ruin it for everybody else. You need to handle it, but you need to handle it professionally and tastefully, not embarrassing him or her.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Little side story there. Sorry. I know you're trying to wrap things up. I just keep rambling.
Love
But
this.
I started. We got so much more to talk about.
I know. We could sit and talk all night. Yeah.
Lauren, do you want to add in anything on how clowning has changed your Santa? Because I know I got you involved in some clowning things.
What it really did for me is it made me realize that Santa is not just putting on a suit. It's coming up with a backstory, coming up with the depth of your character, and putting that together in such a way that you can talk to adults and you can talk to children. And because our audience is the same as what a clown has, and they can talk to both of them, and everyone feels comfortable, everybody enjoys what they're doing. And that's what part of what it taught me. But to understand that it takes a lifetime to create the character, even though we all do the same character, the character that you're doing is different. My character is different than Jeff's. And mine's a little more martial as far as the backstory. But you keep working on that because it's never perfected.
Yeah.
You get it to a point where you're comfortable doing it, but it still keeps expanding. It keeps growing. It's like the universe. It's constantly moving and becoming unbelievable. And I think that's the basic things that I learned.
I'd agree. Yeah. Good.
Makes sense.
And I also I have to figure out what kind of chair I need to get for you. So
you what?
I have to figure out what kind of chair to get for you.
That's a little inside joke.
Watching these two interact was just absolutely amazing at School Santas, by the way. It was absolutely amazing. I love watching Lauren and Jeff just work with each other and talk to each other. It's most wonderful, touching conversation, like you're both brothers from another mother. It is great.
I would like to just invite anybody, if you have any questions, to email me about the upcoming Kringle University session. Again, the 9th, 10th, and 11th of August here in Appleton. I try to limit it to about 25 to 30 participants max, because we do things. We don't pack you in so that you don't have room to move or have elbow space. No, we're going to be doing magic. We're going to be doing entrances and exits. We're going to be imitating home visits. And so if that sounds like something that might be of interest to you, you can reach out to me. Mel can post my contact information, and KU reach out. Let me answer any questions that you might happen to have. And it's a great bargain as well. So
highly recommend it. Highly recommend Kringle University. You will not be disappointed. You'll learn a lot.
And if you're disappointed, I guarantee my work. If you come and you're not happy, I refund your money. I've never had anybody ask for it, but I think that's important.
Yes, it's very important, but you will absolutely learn. You'll have so much to take away. It's just a wonderful course. And I'm proud of you, my friend. It's amazing.
Thank you, Mel.
I've gone up to it in Appleton and it was wonderful. And while you're there, you get to see his cottage.
Yes.
Yeah, true. Very nice.
Yeah.
So I like how we see pictures of his chair, but we're not seeing Bart.
Mel, I did post Jeff's flyer from it, but it says it's the 8th, 9th, and 10th, not the 9th, 10th, and 11th.
What does it say?
It says 8th, 9th, and 10th.
That's correct.
I posted the flyer.
Okay.
That's okay. So
thank you. Yes, I had made the note here. I've entered the world of CPAP users. And last night was my first night with it, and it was a horrible night. It was just terrible. But I'm going to stick with it because
you'll get used to it.
Yeah, hey, thoughts and prayers, man. That's a rough one. My wife is on that thing, and it is rough.
Yeah, well,
you'll get there though. You'll get there.
I'll get there, but my dates and my fogginess is perhaps coming through a little bit.
Your health will thank you.
Yeah,
20 years, you'll get used to it. I can't sleep without it.
That's what I hear. I'm looking forward to a good night's sleep again sometime. So reach out to me. This is such a wonderful community, and Mel, thank you again. I don't mean to keep patting you on the back, but I could not be more proud of the work that you and your team are doing, and the whole experience with Bob McMaster and what he's doing here, and using the technology to bring our training right into families, right into your homes. But as we end this session, if I can be of service to you, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always here to help if I can. And if I don't know the answer, I won't BS you. I'll find out the answer and get back with you.
Thank you.
He deserves the pats.
Yeah, you're amazing. You deserve all the wonderful things, Jeff.
Stop it.
So thank you for being you. Thank you for us that you're here tonight. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for letting me grill you for a few hours. But yes, please reach out to Jeff. If you have a chance to go to KU, do it. It's awesome. Even if you just need advice, Jeff's your man. You can't go wrong with one of the most kind Santa persons in the United States, in the world, and in the universe. Jeff, you're one of a kind, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us. And
very welcome. May I end with the poem that I finish all my presentations with?
Please. I was hoping you would do that.
If I had a magic lamp, but I could only make one wish, I wouldn't wish for a platter of cookies or any fancy dish. I wouldn't wish for lots of presents, for I need just a few. I'd wish for a merry and blessed season for my heart to each and every one of you. Thank you, Mel. And thank you for joining us.
Nice.
You are Christmas magic. Until I see everyone again, may visions of sugar plums dance in your heads. I love you all, Jeff. Thank you. I love you, man. You all take care, and we'll see you next Thursday with Polar Opposites. So take care. Thanks again, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Jeff. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Jeff, thank you.
Appreciate you so much. Of course.
Wonderful evening.
If I had any questions. Bart, I will be with you next week.
Yes, you will. With the Wisconsin group. Yep.
Yes.
That'd be great.
I'd like to meet Bart in person again.
What's that?
I'd like to see Bart in person. In Oconomowoc, right?
You're getting much closer.
Oh. Gotcha. Well, anyway, Wisconsin's a beautiful state, and I love it. You guys take care. Bless you. I'm having internet troubles. That's why I lost it for a while. They're putting fiber in our street still for like the 4th month in a row, and I keep losing signal. So I do apologize. So, but you all take care.
Hold on, Santa Oliver, you look wonderful. As I'm looking at you sitting there, I thank you for joining us tonight.
Well, hey, I've looked forward to it. I came in late because I thought it was supposed to be 8 o'clock. But I got here, and as always, I'm impressed. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You look great.
Thank you.
I
Well,
love
I
it.
didn't know if you remember me or not.
I do, and it's been a while. So
Well,
how you?
Santa family reunion.
Yeah. So I do remember you. You
We
know.
sat and talked for a little bit, and I enjoyed that so much. I told my wife about it.
Yeah, had a great time.
I was really thrilled to be able to talk to you.
Oh, I enjoyed talking to you too, and I'm like, he was at family reunion. I talked to him, but yeah, join us every Thursday night. We're on, please. 6 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Eastern. Please join us. You know, I absolutely enjoyed our time spent together, and you know, Jeff is amazing. Everyone here is amazing, including yourself. And I'm just blessed that you're here. And I was like, I kept looking at you. I'm like, Oliver. So very good. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Okay.
So you all take care.
Have a good evening.
We'll see you next Thursday, folks. Take care. Thanks, Jeff. Bye, guys.
Bye, my friends.
Bye.
God bless.
Bye.